Hey boos, hey, it is your girl, the Rising Phoenix Empath, coming at you from Maryland, and I wanted to jump on real quick and give you a quick nugget. Welcome to today's segment on spirituality, and today's topic is 7 demonic entities that you need to be on the lookout for, and that number one spirit is that succubus spirit. And what the succubus spirit is, a sexual spirit in nature that usually embodies a woman. And what this woman does is she uses sex and lust to render her victims useless. And she does this in such a way that they fall away from God. Through sexual immorality and sexual sin. They fall away from God, they fall away from their purpose, and in essence, they lose their souls to the succubus. Number 2 is the incubus. The incubus is the same exact spirit as the spirit I just talked about. The incubus is the male counterpart of the succubus. And what the incubus does is the same thing that the succubus does. It uses sexual immorality, lust, and sex to ensnare its victims and to disconnect women from God and from their purpose, and in essence, stealing the gift of salvation from them. The same thing with the succubus. The whole purpose of these spirits are to get the men and women so far away from God through sexual immorality that they in essence lose their souls. Okay. Number 3 is the Jezebel spirit. Now we all know that Jezebel spirit, and we previously associated the Jezebel spirit with a sexual spirit in nature, but Jezebel really is all about control, and she'll get it by any means necessary. And so yes, she will use she will use sex and sexual things to obtain to manipulate and to control people so that her agenda is pushed. But in essence, Jezebel just wants to control. And Jezebel can be a man or a woman, right? I'm just saying her because the name is a woman's name. But a Jezebel spirit can be a man or a woman. And their number one goal is to manipulate and control. And they usually do this through fear. They'll use sex if they have to, though. Right? Number 4 is the Leviathan spirit. And the Leviathan spirit is a covenant breaker. Right? The Leviathan spirit is a spirit that wants to keep you stuck. They disconnect you from God. They disconnect you from other relationships, from other people. They get you all secluded into yourself. And then the final cord cutting is the disconnection between you and God as a result of putting this Leviathan spirit on a pedestal and making them your God instead of God, right? So that's what the Leviathan spirit does, separates you from God, right? That's the overall goal, right? Number 5, that spirit of Judas, that is an evil, envious, and jealous-hearted spirit. We have all known that spirit, and we've all experienced that spirit, chosen ones, all too well. And like I said in all of my other videos, that Judas spirit is so evil and envious and jealous and it's so dangerous because it brings forth a spirit of murder. And as you know, Judas even murdered himself. So it's a very dangerous spirit. And always know that if you are in communion, if you are in connection with somebody who holds that Judas spirit, understand that the envy will always overpower the love, and eventually you will be betrayed. Okay? All right. Number 6, that Rahab spirit. That Rahab spirit is proud and conceited and arrogant. And that Rahab spirit is a spirit of confusion, chaos, and division. Have you ever seen a group of people who got along just fine For years and years, they got along just fine. They let somebody else into the fold and all hell breaks loose. And now they are at war with one another, right? And this is what this spirit does. This spirit causes division and war within the people of God. This is what that spirit does to stop ministry, to stop covenants from taking place, to stop relationship, to stop anything of God from coming to pass. This is what the spirit of Rahab does. It is the spirit of chaos and division and war. Right? All right. Number 7 is that behemoth spirit. Now, let me tell you that the Leviathan spirit and the Rahab spirit were sea monsters, and so is the behemoth. They are all sea monsters. The behemoth spirit is the biggest, most ferocious looking sea monster, right? This is the biggest one of them all, the most ferocious looking sea monster of them all. But let me tell you that this particular spirit, the behemoth spirit only eats grass. It's not even a flesh eater. So it looks big and bad, but it's really, really, really harmless for real. Because when you think about it, the Leviathan, right, and the Rahab spirit, they go to war for their food. Whereas the behemoth spirit's on the sidelines eating grass. But the dangers of that behemoth spirit, right? The dangers of that spirit is while they may not be able to do as much physical damage as the others, right? This spirit has a keen ability to wage psychological, emotional, and mental warfare on the people of God. And let me give you some examples of that throughout history. People who led in fear. Hitler, number 1. Hitler tried to annihilate an entire race of people, right? And he did that. He led through fear. And it was fear that allowed people to serve under his reign for as long as they did. And because of that, millions of people were murdered and their generations and lineages went with them. Another example of somebody who knows how to wage psychological warfare because they look big and they manipulate people and bully people because of their size, when in reality, they big for nothing. Another one was the author of the Willie Lynch letter. This guy wrote this letter to the slave owners, teaching them how to psychologically manipulate and abuse their slaves to the point of making them good slaves for generations and generations to come. And still today, we see that letter playing out in some of our communities with the mentalities of some people. Right? We see that as a result of the generational trauma that took place because of the writing of that letter and the psychological warfare that was waged on a group of people. Right? And so that spirit, while it may not seem that dangerous, the psychological, mental, and spiritual warfare that this thing is able to inhabit is dangerous and can cause so much damage to the world and to our communities. And so people, these are the 7 spirits, the 7 demonic spirits to be on the lookout for. Stay safe, stay prayed up, right? We acknowledge that these things exist and we pray against them, and we know that we're divinely protected from them. And I hope that this video enlightens you, and I hope that you learned something that you didn't know before. And I pray safety and abiding for everybody watching over this video, that you may be safe and stay free of these kinds of entities and these types of people that embody them. Have a good day and have a good rest of your evening. Stay safe.